Morning world, afternoon, good evening, good night. This is the man from Buzzwalk with his garment dipped in blood. Rastafari International Ambassador. And I'm here again with a special program. And this program today is gonna be dedicated to two special youth. Youth by the name of Rasta so-called collector of justice. He will have to come and tell I and I now what that position entails. And the next youth by the name of Juna Nigo, so-called collector of records. Today's program is about taking control of our nation, which is the Rastafari nation. I have noticed since I have come out of secluding that all the movers and shakers and the scholars and the hierarchists, namely the people and the university scene lecturing the world about Rasta, everybody is silent as to who Jahbunny is. While they are silent, they are doing various digging and homework and hide the man from Buzzwalk. I hear and I know recently, at present as we speak, Mutabaruka is here in London to show you now how can Muta say him don't know Jahbunny or know the badass. And he have been in existence for the past 70 years. Question mark. He's saying he doesn't know who Jahbunny or the badass is. But he's talking about Bakawal, and he's talking about Warwick Hill, and he's talking Rasta history. But he does not know who Jahbunny is. When I remind him that I am also known as the 21st century man, the man that gave him that book 30 years ago, I still can't recall. Right. When I remind him that my brethren Jaler, Empress, was also a chef at his restaurant up in New Kingston, and I come up there and have a meal at the restaurant, and I did have a discourse with him on more than one occasion. He's still in denial. Then I call him 2:30 at the night, and he tried to make an issue. Brethren, you're calling me 2:30 in the night. I explained to him that this is normal time for high. You're in my city. It's normal time. He tried to make an issue out of it that's disrespectful. I point out to him that I was online and saw that you were online. That's why I called. I didn't wake you up. When he realized that that was the fact, then he said to me, let me explain. He explained that others have called him and he was wrapping up. Okay? Then he instruct me to call him the next day, anytime after 7. I have not returned that call because he have my number. He's in my city, right? And there is nothing really that I know that he want to talk to me about, because he can't talk about the back wall because he wasn't there. Never seen him down there yet. Never seen him at Chacomolan. Never seen him at Waterfront. So I need to fall back. Jerry also need to fall back. Never see you in none of the trench back in the dark days. Miguel Lawn need to fall back too. Never see you in any of the trench. Now you are all the spokesperson for Rastafari. And all you keep doing is colliding with each other and making up fixed fictional story as you go along. I will give you the record as we go along. Now, one of the main issues that I want to address today, before I get to that, I would like to make a few shout out. Respect goes out to Ras Ayakongo I, the man that have the scientific ganja farm going, and rice farm and other productive farm that is making employment for many races. Respect goes out to this brethren, because he's a worker and a producer. Respect goes out to Gappy Crucial, one of my youth DJ that actually, when I want mix to relax, that's who I go to listen. Maximum respect goes out to Japal Dean and your father, Jadine. Again, one of my sons, because I see myself as your son, just like how Jadine see my children when they are in Jamaica, as their dad. Jadine is my brother from a different mother. Respect goes out also to Ras Abdul. Special respect goes out to Big Stone for the maximum good work that you are putting in from all angles. Respect goes out to Priest Paul Pang and the entire Pang family, namely George Pang and Andrew Pang. Yeah, but you never know, say. Tight connection that is a street apart. We born and grow. Street apart. So just want to know now for the record, respect goes out to the entire father Pang, mother Pang, the sisters, this Beverly Pang, and all the Pang family. A one family. Maximum respect goes out also to Jaraga. Yeah. Part of that syndicate. Neighborhood. The whole I. Respect goes out to Jalerd, even though you're not here today. Jariba, even though you're not here today. Spar man, Spar boy. Yeah. And the entire Wild Bunch Parkites family. Namely, Errol Charter, who is rolling down the gravel here in Boston and Brooklyn, New York. Respect goes out to Keystone, Wani, Butchie Belly, Big Joe. Again, part of my Bakawal Rastafari family that is still standing today and can verify all that need to be verified. Respect goes out to the General Tanto. Yeah. outer South London and Tarrington Park. Real big man round here. Respect goes out to Nigger Charlie, Warwick Isle, Rasta Selassie, I, Dwight TC, and Dr. B. At some stage, I hope to have Dr. B on the program today to address a particular issue. We will get into that soon. Now, a question was posed to High by Juna Negos, and that was based on something that I have said. Keep in mind now, I take responsibility for everything that come out of my mouth. Yeah. Before I get in the full program, want this little boy that call himself Collector of Justice, Ras Garfield. He made a statement that Jabi hold on on the drinking. Very rude. So you see them little young generation youth, when them can't fight you with any logic, them try to highlight what them don't know about. I remember one time I was talking and my other phone, which I switched off just now, was ringing. And that phone is when my dogs them calling me. So it have the dog bark. That's why I turn it off now, because if it ring right now, you'll hear the dog barking. And somebody come in my comment and said, him live with dog. Some of the England live, lock up in a house, live with dog. This is the type of thing that people come in your comment and drop. Right? Now, this little boy, Garfield, I call him a little boy and I tell him to go look a toy and play with. Don't try come in a big league and try to mix up big league. He's talking that I'm always drinking. But him no know say, I'm a Jamaica me there, where things run different at Jamaica. So, I want him to say, where me I drink. Look. Look. Can you see? Right, look. What I'm drinking. Look. Yeah? Now, what am I drinking? Beetroot juice. Organic. Yeah. You know what beetroot do to your structure? Go find a health man and let me tell you what beetroot do. And what it good for. Again, look. When you see me a drink, look. Panga granite, better known as panga nut at Jamaica. Organic panga nut juice. So little boy, don't try mix up big people when they say big people are do things. You're not in my league. No. You and Juna need to fall back and I'm going to show you why you fall back on a baby boy where on a mother raised on and a woman raised me. You notice all the big up on the look while not one woman name mentioned. Because we don't depend that. And I'm going to make now, because you see, I don't want to go to my lane and talk when I don't know. But the history will show that at no time at all, Empress Menin was being prayed to as not equal balance. Because there's no balance between Empress Menin and Isle King Selassie. This is a new thing now where little boys that was raised by the mother emotionally I try to bring in at the trad. And we will kick up that. Because if you don't do no homework, you don't know, say, 1941, after His Majesty left England on his way back to Ethiopia and stop in Israel, and Empress Menen gave away her crown. Yeah, she gave away her crown. So I want all I want to push this Empress Menen equality, but sit down, because it's feminism una push in a Rasta and a try take over I and I program of repatriation. Now, June and Egos asks I, are Rasta woman feminist? And I answer to him, yes. So we are going to develop that reasoning in a minute, but make we bless it again. This is the man from Buzzwalk, Count Acid and the Mystic Revelation done 1957. Three years after I man was born, this come out. This is the original Rasta music coming out of Warwick Hill. Original drum sound. Yeah. Now let's get into the crux of this program. There's a group of ones there in Jamaica calling themselves Asian Council. Now, from this council, it amounts to two people. A youth by the name of Ras Garfield and Juna Negos. Ras Garfield is in Jamaica and Juna Negos is in South Africa by himself, living by himself, treading by himself, and not a part of the 4 million Rastafarian that is there. I have talked to Juna Negos over and over by asking him to go and link with the council in South Africa, mainly Jahbunny. Jahbunny is one of I and I. Jahbunny is also a South African, but he is one of I and I from Jam Rock. He have refused, and it seems that he have a few little original brethren throughout the Caribbean and in Jamaica still. And they are now portraying themselves as a council, which cannot work. I already tried to explain to them that it can't work in a this Iowa. In a this Iowa, if Rasta now present themselves as one, the bus gets stuck on the highway. So, Juna Negos send I a message. This time is not a forward message, it's from Juna Negos. I think I want to see it too because them people say, me can read and me can comprehend. And me explain to them, say, there was no school back a wall. And me don't remember going on any one of them, me and them I go to school together. So, me don't have the same teaching like them. But look, it's from Juna Negos. You can see it up there. Because I'm not that savvy in technology, but I still do my thing. I can put it on the screen for you to see it, but him know him right. Bless. So him stop even approach me by name. Bless. The few matriarchs who was there to strengthen the brothers. Mama Baby High, Mama High Hina to Mama Ferika. Mama Ferika most powerful from that time. Then come the younger daughters with all different concepts. Some of it is coming from the American feminist movement. Let me stop right there, so. This is what I keep telling this little boy to stop doing. Stop talking ambiguous. Because here it is. Him call out Mama Baby High name, Mama Aina, Mama Ferika. Mama Ferika most powerful from that time. Then come the younger daughters with different concepts. Some of it is coming from the American feminist move. You see how ambiguous that statement is? And he's supposed to be the record collector. And as opposed to tell I and I, so we can know and address it. He made that statement ambiguous. But I am going to address it. Rastafari daughters are given full power. Listen to this now. Rastafari daughters are given full power to lead this movement. By who, Juna Negos? Who give these women power to lead I and I? Who? Because I know I never give them no power. Because I never give Empress men in any power. So, you need to come tell the world who give these women power to come lead I and I. And they are the ones leading in every international setting. You hear what the guy say? The guy now tell the world that his woman, Rastafari, is being led by woman. I, Jahbunny, take exception greatly to that. Only thing, they won't walk with the ancient matriarch standard. They can't walk with the matriarch standard because they was never trained by the matriarch. For example, Mother Moses, Mama Desta, these empress are front line. No man can reach where they have reached, who visit the prison system as Rastafari priests. Only Rasta daughter. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. These Rasta women hijack the prison program and undermine the whole movement. You is saying that you're an elect of record and now perpetrate that because some woman have visited some prison, that mean I them for leader and I? You lick your head. No. So please, Aya, it is not fair to accuse in general Rastafari discriminate the sisters. No, Rastafari is the only entity. Even though His Majesty give the balance without partiality, still there may be some unfairness to some sisters amongst us that should be revenged for their work. So please, Aya, let not find ourselves discriminating each other as Rasta. Rastafari is perfect love, balancing everywhere. The Queen of the South did rise with justice and judgment. Bless up all empress that stand with the movement and give full support as a balance, not those who try to separate the empress from the emperor. Virgin, did you not hear 1941, Empress Menin gave away her crown to Israel? So where is the balance? You supposed to be the elect of record and you supposed to have the right record. Oneness, father, mother, and child is the creative power source for all iration. No separation in one I, three in one. Cannot forget to mention Mama Bubbles, the Asian Maka mother. Brethren. My response, let me tell you, my response to Juna Negos is this. Juna Negos, so I respond to him by name. Because him never, him a try now, I don't know. I might talk to her, I say the woman them is feminist and them need to know them place. So this is our response for him. Junanigos, I do not know anything about matriarch who was there to strengthen us. This is a new faculty made up by little boys looking to be led by their mothers. I and I cannot give these feminists any position that they can inform their socialist boss. Reason, I and I is the PLO within the Rastafari nation because we are displaced and we are attached to the Crown Council of Ethiopia in exile. We cannot be led by these feminists because we are defending king and bishop. Now, let me break it down. Let me break it down. To the world. What the world needs to understand is in a nutshell. 1974, when the Derg moved against His Majesty and overthrew His Majesty, the reality is that everything that His Majesty said was overthrown. And the royal family have been in exile since. Hence, I and I is a part of that family and we are in exile. So therefore, since 1974, no Rasta have any right to any land or anything in Ethiopia. Yeah, Rastafari international ambassador is here to let you know that now. Everything we go up there since 1974. If I know war, you go for war, you're a traitor. Yeah. So I could do something different again because we will develop that as we go along.
In the wee hours of the morning, when everything is still, I lay staring at the darkness, trying to find the will, only to be plagued by roaches, scorpions, and mice. Not to mention politics, that's a big cockatrice. The light became morning, the morning became day. Speaking for myself, I wish the darkness had stayed. The morning became evening, the sun is going down, but equality and justice is nowhere to be found. Of all these plagues, I've had my fill, even in the wee hours of the morning, when everything is still. I went to the elders to see if I could arrange some peace in this neighborhood. I call on the youths because they are strong. The desire was, let us make man. If the youth of today is the man of tomorrow.
Yeah, must let you know. This was done 1957. I was born 1954, 3 years before. And the elder just select while him call up I and I that time. Second generation. Because we are strong. We was no coward. Yeah. We come change and set levels. My generation is who declare the death before dishonor. Yeah. Today, most of high generation have not set foot in a Ethiopia. We stand firm in exile.
In the wee hours of the morning, when everything is still, I lay staring at the darkness, trying to find the will.
Hear it again.
Only to be plagued by roaches, scorpions, and mice. Not to mention politics. That's a big cockatrice. The light became morning. The morning became day. Speaking for myself, I wish the darkness had stayed. The morning became evening. The sun is going down. But equality and justice is nowhere to be found. Of all these plagues, I've had my fill, even in the wee hours of the morning, when everything is still. Went to the elders to see if I could arrange some peace in this neighborhood. I called on the youth because they are strong. Their desire was is the man of tomorrow. Why not start thinking of each one's sorrow? To covet is to envy is to love. Make good living your daily bread. Oh, elders, see if you can. For all these youths you must understand. Don't you think it's a crying shame for lawless of colonial reign has brought the people misread, has left them such pain. It's now of independence you see. Since it wasn't meant for you or for me. Strangers became slave trade was beginning. Never since even know our name. Our heritage we must remember. And all that they did to mother and father. people for what it's worth. Demands your freedom here upon earth. Stop asking when, where, and how. Make up your mind, the time is now. People, for what it's worth. Demands your freedom here upon earth. Stop asking when, where, and how. Make up your mind, the time is now.
Yeah, I want all these Johnny come lately Rasta, so-called Rasta boys, cat, rat, puss, and whatever you want, wolf, to know this is not Nyabingi music. This is grown nation music, the music that I, second generation Rasta, was raised on. If you listen to the context of these music, then you will realize why I speak the way I speak, with that authority, with that strength, and that clarity. I don't ask no one whether it's right or it's wrong, and I don't expect no. Because I'm never seen a back wall, I'm never seen a warrior Kyle. Yet, I'm never seen up on the front line. All on the do is come drain the elders them energy, and then I rewrite our history. This, I am here today as a king. Yeah, because I'm not a slave, I'm a king. And I look for other king, right? Come and free ourselves. The music playing is the mystic revelation, count as it, and the mystic revelation of Rastafari. So I want to listen. This little boy that feel talk about him first, hear me I shout and scream. Yeah, because you never hear, you're not a father. So nobody gonna talk to you with no authority. Authority me I talk with. Everything have to stand the fuck down. Unless you can come say and show otherwise. Like I said just now, everything in Ethiopia right now a traitor. And if you're in Africa and you're not in there to help liberate it, you're a traitor too. And you're a sellout. Stand the fuck down and regroup and step back and know, say, find back your oneness in your blackness. Yeah. So let me come move on again and tell you something else, because enough thing we have to tell you, because I don't know nothing about this thing. Take this.
Ever since I was a youth, I've always been searching for the truth. But having been told so many lies, life like good music never dies.
That's what I am here today, telling the world the truth of the origin of this nation. Not a pack of lies.
Ever since I was a youth, I've always been searching for the truth. But having been told so many lies, life like good music never dies.
Yes, this one dedicated to Dr. B. Last week you draw me out and tell me if I go find it and give it to them. So here it comes.
Ever since I was a youth, I've always been searching for the truth. But having been told so many lies, life like good music never dies. So the question is posed, only who in heaven knows. Why is a man respected when he is dead? Shouldn't that respect be paid to the living instead? Alive, a man is a sufferer of no mean order, but dead, he has an estate to the value of 1,000,000 and over. I must die one day, you'll all hear people say, yet praying for salvation in corrupted meditation, storing up wealth, ignoring their health, but a tree is known by its fruits. There's no life in lies, it's all in the truth.
Yeah, now you know the truth and know what was before reggae music, Kumina music. This is the foundation grown nation music that guide I and I generation with the second generation. This is why I and I was so steadfast in our struggle for liberation. So let me make the elder them telling us some more things. Cause them elder no sound like them did a smoke too much and I go on with some other dream. Them elder never dream.
Straits of Gibraltar with the army to take away the British possession in Africa.
Here we are now.
In Africa.
Where are we there now?
Egypt, Sudan.
Again.
Was coming up through this.
Again. Listen how we deal with things back then now. Listen how the king deal with things. Yeah. I don't know where them little coward there now say them a go Africa when I tell them to pick up gun and go deal with things them a go on like bunny and we are dealing. Well, listen how the thing that said that my generation did have the attitude when I still have today. Listen.
Was coming up through the Straits of Gibraltar with the army to take away the British possession in Africa, which was Egypt, Sudan, those places. Hence, they didn't bow by free will, they had to bow by force. Because Britain did not get Italy out of her back. By aiding Ethiopia to recover, then she would also lose her possession. So, as it was said.
Like I said, this is no bingy me a play. This is a go nation. Listen again.
So have we seen, so have we heard. Britain had to bow by force. Now, everyone is living. Some say they must die to go to heaven. All the people who say they must die to go to heaven, they have more doctors than the people who say they're going to live on. So, inner man and every man wants to live. But man is fooling himself with the doctrine of death. We the Rastafari brethren, our doctrine is based on peace and love. What is love? Love is the cohesive force that binds all events and make them something natural for man to follow, so that man can keep on living. If it wasn't for love, the world would not advance to the stage where it is. But if it wasn't for war, we would go 10 times further. Love is God and God is love. And always have God is have love. For God is loving man. For man is the only comprehensive, the only universal being of all form of life. Man say God is river. Man say God is stone. Some say God is sun. Some say God is spirit. Some even say God is trees. What do we say in all this? M-A-N. Man. Hence, God is in man. Within war. And when he's within it, he's within Satan. It's only true love that we can reach the zenith of life. What was the gift of God? It was written. It was written that the wages of sin is death. The gift of God is eternal life. So true love, one can see the light. The light is understanding, and understanding will make mankind move on for life.
So now you know. Oh, now you know. Now you know. Now you know. Now you know that it's the perfect balance.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
Dr. B, I was so excited just now that I pressed the wrong button. And
You know what?
I pressed the wrong button just now.
Give thanks.
But here, how blessed it is now, because last week Sunday the ice wife of a big up counterfeit and the mystic revelation of Rastafari, which is the original grown nation song them. And I have done it. I have done it.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I will hear how we are beat the thief. But the subject today is one, let me just get this thing out. To balance out, right?
Yes, because it's a little bit, the sound is a little bit off.
All right.
Coming to us.
How it sound now?
Yeah, go on, Reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today,
Sound.
still funny?
Yeah, it is that. But go on, we can cope with it.
Can I hear it here now, but no one the iron to hear it. Yes. Take off for this. Yes.
Yeah.
Today's topic is that yesterday I addressed that issue about feminism and June and he got reply to what don't call I by name, and this is not somebody else, it's indirect after Rasta woman feminist, and I answered yes. And then start tell I about what the matrix them have done for I, and right now is the matrix them who is lead I, and I agree to make the woman them lead I, because they are the ones that is going in different places. And him call off a whole heap of woman name. Now, today I am here telling the world that we need to take control of our nation. And feminists have taken over the Rastafari nation. Today, I have raised the issue that in 1941, His Majesty and his way forward to Ethiopia, stopped in Israel, and Empress Menen gave away her crown. I would like the eyes to expand on that more properly, please.
Yeah, regarding the giving away of the crown. First of all, as we are all aware, in 1930, November 2, during the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie I, his wife, Menen, she too was crowned, and she became known as Empress Menen. Now, the situation then was a new thing in Ethiopia. New in the sense that normally, when there's a coronation of an individual, their spouse was not normally crowned on the same day. Remember now, their spouse are always crowned, but not on the same day. This kind of broke the trend of history and Ethiopian tradition, where the spouse of the emperor was crowned simultaneously. Remember now that the monarch that ruled Ethiopia was female in scope. Zaditu was her name. And the majority of us is totally ignorant as to the name of Zaditu's spouse, because her coronation resulted in her spouse also being crowned with her. But again, not at the same ceremony. But because the rulership was vested in her, like you would have a prime minister, or you would have a president or a chancellor of a country, etc. It's a similar situation. The ruler of the country resides in the individual that is crowned. Take England, for example. The individual that ruled England from a monarchical standpoint is Elizabeth. She is the one. It's not Elizabeth and her husband. It doesn't work like that. That is what we call cancel culture. Revisionist historian. We were trying to juxtapose what we want into the equation and not looking at history the way it is. Now, to respond to the specificity of your question, is that Ethiopia was invaded by Italy and the Vatican. And that invasion was co-opted by nations of the world. So in other words, the world invaded Ethiopia. During that invasion, Her Majesty, being a devoted Christian, an Orthodox Christian in Ethiopia, she prayed for the deliverance of Ethiopia from the yoke of the fascist Italian and the corrupt Vatican embrace. Now, as part of her prayer, she pledged to the Virgin Mary that should Ethiopia be free from that invasion, then she know that that is the work of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And as such, she would give the most high position that she have, which was the crown, to the church. So what happened now is Ethiopia, as we all are aware, liberated herself from the fascist forces on the 5th of May 1941, to be specific. 5 years to the day after His Majesty embarked on this diplomatic mission to the West. Now, she decided then, during that time in 41, to fulfill her objective, fulfill her promise to the Virgin Mary and to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And she subsequently gave her crown to the church of nativity. Right? Because the church of nativity is alleged to be erected on the site where Jesus was supposed to have been born. Just the term nativity. Now, herein lies the paradox, because the crown is the possession of the nation, and it is the traveling crown. So, in other words, you now rejected the throne in the name of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and the Virgin Mary. A subsequent crown was made for her by His Imperial Majesty. Nevertheless, never again did Her Majesty wear a crown. She wore tie head and hats and other things, but she never placed a crown upon her head from that day forward. Now, it becomes now a puzzling thing to many of us. Because recently, as you know, there's a new tide, a sweeping tide that you say is feminism, and I can agree, that really has then invaded Rastafari to the extent that the monophysite liberty that Rastafari has always been, which is based upon the divinity and the character of Kirmawi Kidamawi Haile Selassie, solely is now being juxtaposed with what we call a balance based upon Egyptian mythology, which says then you must have male balance with female. Because that is what happened in Egypt, where you have Isis, Osiris, and then Horus. So even in Egyptian mythology, it was a three-sprung situation where the anointed one is always the child. The anointed one is never a couple. It is always an individual who carries the essence of the three basic ingredients of that every man possess, and thus every female possess as well. And that is the essence of the body, the mind, and the spirit. That is the triunal interpretation of man's existence. But because we are trapped in a physical body, we get manipulated by emotion and get trapped into the mythological misconception of Egyptian mythology. The key in all of this is that you have an Egyptian who was murdered, right? He was chopped up into pieces. But before that was done, an esophagus, in other words, a coffin, was made for this individual. And the coffin measurement was set for him. So everybody come and then test the coffin. The coffin didn't fit. So you have this youth, who was supposed to be the person where the coffin make for. Him go next to the coffin, bam, the coffin fit him. So what they did now, they locked him into the coffin and cut up his body in many pieces. So his wife now mourning for him, can't find him, don't know exactly where he was. So a bird now come to the wife and start, over around this coffin. Lo and behold, when it bust open, it's the dead spouse. So guess what the woman do now? She lay down on the chop up body, on the man penis. And from that episode, she get pregnant. And therein starts some pure arms house foolishness. Now, anybody with a ounce of sense knows that all this is mythology. Nothing no go so. Nevertheless, it didn't stop people from believing it. Just like people believing that the tooth fairy and brother and Nancy and all them someday. So these are the misconceptions from Egyptology that have swept the world up until today. And Rastafari, who have then stayed clear of those misconceptions and myths, is now being absorbed into the new tide that a woman named Gloria Stedham, or Steedham, however you want to pronounce it, introduced, which is a feminist concept. And many of our males and our females have now embraced it. And it become a very key component where His Imperial Majesty is the man within the culture, and Her Majesty, Empress Menen, is the female within the culture. And that balance now starts get juxtaposed into the liberty when nothing no goes at all. To further prove it, His Imperial Majesty established the first written constitution that Ethiopia and our people ever had. Now, this written constitution of articles, and on Article 5, it states, and I will paraphrase it for the listeners, that the person of the emperor is sacred. His divinity is indisputable. So it did not state that the persons of the emperor and the empress, the law states that the person of the emperor is sacred, and that was established in 1931. In 1955, there was a revision of that said constitution. And guess what? Do you know that article remained? It didn't change. So 1931, 1955. Furthermore, there was a new constitution that was being drafted in 1974. And don't you know that provision remained? But due to the overthrow of His Majesty's administration in 1974, the world was not preview to the full extent of the 1974 Constitution. Those are the three constitutions that was drafted by His Imperial Majesty, who is the only absolute monarch in the history of the world who volunteered to share and to give the rights of governance to the people. So the myth is now about this crown that was given away, that dismiss all of the schism that Rastafari is bringing to the equation as to Her Majesty being equal, because no monarch can give their crown away and serve any longer in that capacity. Give thanks.
Rasta. Now, the question that I would have liked again to answer, because if you recall, in the revolution and the soldiers was something didn't really, I didn't perceive certain studies because my lane never took into that direction. Can you tell us when this type of concept started to creep into the nation? And by who?
Well, it's primarily a university of the West Indies infiltration mechanism, wherein our sisters feel left out of the matrix. And rightfully so.
1 minute.
Because...
Yeah, man. 1 minute.
Yes.
You know what's over here when I speak ambiguous. So, go on.
No, well, we are reason. It's not about ambiguity at all.
Yeah, you know,
it's the reason.
It's just that I don't know when this coming at the system and in the nation.
Hold on. Because it's not a one day, it's not a 1 day something.
Yeah.
It's over a period of time, as you aptly stated. So, for I to come on the platform and to act as if it's a specific day.
No, well, I just want a clarity, like, I win this car. Every time I hear about it, people, you know.
Well, that's the way I and I do the same thing too.
And I do it,
You see it?
I do it ignorantly. I can admit I do it calm. No matter what, that's why I'm glad that the idea now to broaden it and make some more sense to it, because I don't know about now pray to no woman, I'm in a dock. My wife is my wife, and she's here to take care of the wifey part of the thing, not to lead I and represent I in any form of capacity in American order.
Well, that is a traditional way. Oh, it is. However, the 21st century ideology that, as you said, oftentimes is wrapped up into a feminist body. Change all of that, or attempt to change all of that, while at the same time, it cannot change the reality, because the reality is that I would even look at myself. You know. I am looking at the essence of Emperor Haile Selassie as the sole leader of Rastafari, not to take his accomplishments and give it to someone else. First of all, it's sacrilegious. Second of all, it is wicked. And third of all, it is wrong. And it's not truthful. So once we start bringing in this untruth, that I say the University of the West Indies, which is where my train of thought was. Remember, since the inception of Rastafari, there has always been attempt to destroy Rasta. Various methods has been used. Militarily, where they wanted to kill us all. They say shot them on sight. Who madden can hold, who the cemetery can hold, madden with hold and all these things. This is a statement that was made by Premier in Jamaica, you know. In a place called Dominica. The Premier of Dominica said all Rasta must be shot on sight. That was Eugenia Charles. So you find that wherever Rastafari was under siege by the state. Now, after the state tried that brute force and murdering mentality, they then also come with the infiltrating approach, where they infiltrate and the goal was to destroy Rastafari from within. And you know how successful that become, because the University of the West Indies will have your old man up there, right? It's the beginning of some of these nonsense. Because Brother Kumi, Ras Kumi, or Ras Martimo Plano is a key component, and the infiltration involved the University of the West Indies, and before that, one Carol Yani from out of Canada, who infiltrate herself within the Rastafari liberty, within the nation, and then overbridging them into a lot of deceptive behavior. But the bigger development took place, as I am saying, at the University of the West Indies during Kumi's stay there. And while he is sojourned onto the university now, they start the schism and bring in individuals who, with feminist mentality, to further co-opt and in turn continue their mission. It is the destruction of the Rastafari liberty. That That is where that's, and the eye can elaborate further because the eye is very much familiar with some of the happenings that took place at the University of the West Indies that bring about the sweeping change within the liberty and the understanding or overstanding of what Rastafari liberty is. That diverse doctrine inculcated within the liberty through the University of the West Indies. And as a matter of fact, Professor Robert Hill from the University of California, Las Vegas, UCLA, Robert Hill, have a paper that him write about Rasta's infiltration and how people get paid specifically to destroy Rastafari.
While I was talking just now, I went to dig up the evidence that goes straight to that. And we came to when Dr. Yanni go 60 to literally with comic. Yeah. And Comey writes stuff called racism. And he took credit for breaking that down. But in breaking that down, also, he break down the whole movement because he was the one that let in the Philistine and Tyrone and I. And he was the one that also instructed Bob Marley to go join them. I think he had lived to regret that. But I will address that at some other point. There's another sticking point that I would like if I could help I address. And I have just made a profound statement to the fact that I is in violation. Those of I who pick up I self after the dirt have moved to His Majesty and the disposal. If we didn't go to Ethiopia to fight to restore His Majesty dynasty, then we are traitors. Would you agree with that?
Repeat that one there.
I am telling the public now that when the Dirk move on His Majesty, he also move on I. They also move on I. So since 1974, all who went into Ethiopia, and if they did not went in to fight to restore His Majesty dynasty, then they're all traitors.
Yes, absolutely. Because if the goal is to destroy Emperor Haile Selassie, and we are in cahoots with those perpetrators, then indeed, that's what traitors do. And so you can't call a spade not but a spade.
And the fight for the tabernacle and fee for the land right now is traitors who are doing that. Because that's not the fight. The fight is to restore His Majesty dynasty. So there's no way other one will live at Tamale, especially amongst the people in that directly hostile and was involved in tearing down everything for the king.
Because you see, though, you know, it's a matter of interpretation because the person who is living in the Western world and view Ethiopia as heaven, his idea is leaving from hell and going to heaven. And he's not really looking at the dynamics of revolution, the dynamic of statehood at all. All one is looking at, because of the religious trapping, is that one is living from hell and going to heaven. That's it. You live in the West. And the West is hell. And you're going to the East, in particular, the gate of Zion, which is Ethiopia, and now you are in heaven. That is how the simplicity of interpretation takes man to this level that I and others find problem with, rightfully so. Because the juxtaposing of religious dogma take precedence over truth and rights. So you live, you go to heaven, but you need hell to subsidize heaven. Then the poppycock business there can't work. But you cannot need hell to subsidize heaven. What kind of nonsense is that? In terms of one spiritual view or religious interpretation. So that's where that comes from. So we yearn to go home to Ethiopia, which, mind you know, every African who was domiciled always yearned to go back to the land from whence he came. So nothing is wrong with that. Yeah, but the entrapment of it to the religious entrapment, that's where the problem comes from.
But I take it a bit further, fire, from the angle now that even Africa, now we're talking about the whole Africa, even go forward anywhere in Africa and go forward with the intention to liberate Africa, then you also a traitor too.
Yeah, but that is what the goal is, because you have, it's two sides to the coin, that I is talking about. There is the side of enslavement, and the other side is colonization.
And it's still going on today.
Yes, so whereas some was taken out of the continent and brought to the West as part of the enslavement mechanism, those who remain were colonized and brainwashed by the same system that took some out. So, in other words, like the enslavement exists both within and without. But the terms that are used is different. Because oftentimes we don't look at colonization as enslavement. But one needn't go further than the most recent of them, which is the apartheid system, which tells us unequivocally that the peoples of South Africa that was under the apartheid system were being enslaved by the Afrikaners, or the South African whites, which in turn benefited the entire white population in the earth. You see, we cannot go around this reality. It does not make much sense at all to go around this reality. So we are one and the same, whether or not we are enslaved on the continent or enslaved in chattel slavery in the West. So no, we who are domiciled, in other words, enslaved in a foreign land, which is we call the West, want to go home. And the advent of the Rastafari religion now entrapped us into going home to a religious setting, not in a setting of liberation, but religion. So you see what religion does to it?
Yes,
do to us.
Yes, sir.
These are the things that we want to say no. And the whole idea of Her Majesty being a balance to His Majesty is religious based as well. That is the Egyptology religion. So religion is not only Catholicism, or Christianity and Islam and Judaism, etc. You have religion that come out of Egypt, because Egypt downfall was the religious entrapment of the Egyptology. Because those are mythological. No man, no woman never lay down for her dead husband and get no immaculate conception. That means to say you can't ready for a man sell you anything now because them don't have you entrapped into a yoke of misconception. And the intellects now, mess up things too, because although we stress education, we come back to the simplicity of the body, the mind, and the spirit. So no for them man them, no. That was grassroots man them. We don't know not no education. The revelation came to them because they are liberators. Then the university come dress them up and powder them up and set them down instead of embrace them. So when the author write a book from the university, him dumb, him don't know nothing, him still have to come to the grassroots man and interview him and then write him book or him thesis for real people that him don't know nothing about or is ignorant about. And then that little man now get marginalized because he never have any some initials before or behind his name or her name. So these are the ones that come in and tell you these names and these credentials to undermine what I is doing. So why did they go to the University of the West Indies? Why did they take Kumi there in the first place? To literally suck out his marrow, suck out his brain, and then leave us with the post-1974 Rasta. I remember it. I lived Rastafari before 1974,
Yes, I.
See, our liberty, I as individual, I live Rastafari before 1974, and there was no mention of no meaning in our way I do. In 1974.
Well, this is why I'm very annoyed about it. How they just come, I know how this come, and I come from back a while, from a baby days. So I am very happy. I am very happy for this discussion because
yes, what is that?
What too?
It's something that must be addressed, and what you need now is advocate for those mentality now to come and step up and bring about a justification for the change. Because what I reason for it is history, I essence, not only his story, but our true essence of things that pass and is now current.
Well, is that
so good?
That is what iconic is about. And
yes.
That's why I'm trying to keep it guys iconic of I journey.
Yes, but that's how it's supposed to be. It's the chronicles of what is. Not the chronicles of what is believed, but what is. So once now the ones them who have justification into the need for it, they bring it home.
They can also now call I and justify.
And first of all, where the first argument when come against I and I is that we are chauvinists.
Yeah, but listen, that's a fact. When this movement actually originated, it was male-driven. So, it is still male-driven. So, if the feminists them want to come in with reason, not like them is man and man. Because this is the problem where I have with it. This daughter of Queen Mother Moses, I say up at the university when From the Cross to the Throne documentary was being held. She went over to Kumi and whispered in a Kumi ears. There was no vanguard there for her to go through. And I'm wondering, where was all these man in a Rasta that she could have just go over there and whisper and say, I have something to say. And then when she get the platform, she just start talk like a dog a grassy today, and how much she by herself ready to go take on the world. If man now come with her, she are going to do that. And come and look at her and say, no, you have your 5 minutes of fame. It seems that is the man them have lost them manhood. That's the exact word. He said, it seems the man them have lost their manhood. So now, this woman are going to lead within a Hollywood. That's what the exact word. And then him style it and say, you see me, Martin Planner, please make no changes enough to hear it is the daughter our way to lead the way. This is what him say in a nutshell. And from then she start, and then I noticed even daughter Desta, her position is that she was empowered by him too, and she was empowered by Sam Brown, and she was empowered by Bongo Water, so she was empowered by all these dead men privately. That's what she's now telling the world.
You see, Rastafari is not based upon self-aggrandizement, you know. It's the liberty, it's the inborn liberty. See, where it is the deeper consciousness of one's mind, where the mentality is now wrapped in with the heretical. It's a deeper consciousness that we figure we want to use our simple physical trappings to deal with. Now, once the infiltration occurred, because it is called infiltration, because remember, on the battlefield, we didn't leave. The goal is still to destroy Rastafari at all cost. And as I stated earlier, different approaches has been taken. So a virtuous woman, you know, when first recognize that them work with them brethren, all right, just look at a sympathy. If you in your yard, right? And a poly lizard, or a spider, or a scorpion show up, most females will run behind you, go hide and say, get him, quick. Because that is nature create us, you know. The netaro of our existence with responsibility. The man can't take the responsibility then to nurture the child in his womb. And he does not have a home. That is strictly a female responsibility to nurture. So imagine now, in this homosexual world, I want now to take over the female responsibility. No, everyone have a responsibility. And once we stay in our lane, know what our responsibility is and do it to the goodness of our heart and mind. We're good.
That is, and that note, that thing, so we have to clear up the issues that I had put forth today prior to the high command side. A long time I tried to get high, and I have a couple more pieces of the mystical revelation to do, and we're going over an hour right now. So we give thanks. And I think
Yeah, man.
the word love this sun is like a Sunday session if the coffee is out. So I'm gonna ask this to really, give thanks again for making the time, because I know you're a very busy man in your schedule. And you take
Yes,
time.
give thanks.
And I must tell you to upfront before you go that the phone is ringing to start back for the past 20 minutes. And I did that just now to show her, say, because I did tell her, say, this will happen from alter, not alter. So if she wasn't here, it wouldn't. Simple.
Well, you see, none of them, none of us can stop the time. See, the time is not based upon any individual setting. The times is just the times.
Well,
and right now, we have to go forward to the root of our activity, because it have a root. Because without the root, there's no stem, there's no leaf, there's no branches. Let's go forward to the root, and that's why I said to go forward to the roots when you go to mystical relation.
And that's why I need the time to go beat these two people.
Yeah, man, go beat them in, man, and, give thanks for the opportunity to serve and secure in Asylum.
Give thanks,
I Selassie the first.
Every time, yeah. Carolina. There you go, Gabby. Gabby. There you go, Carolina.
Yeah.
That goes out to all Rasta sistering, all Rasta mother, all Rasta daughter. Know that I and I love you. So know your lane and know your place. Please don't get this twisted. This is not a bingy chant. This is a grown nation chant. What I and I raise up on that grown nation.
Them trying to fight my soul. Them trying to get my oh. Them trying to keep me oh. Them trying to fight my soul. Them trying to get me oh. Them trying to keep me oh. Yes. Way back in 1975, I did this song. If I really know what it's all about, I will really sing it. Praise Jah, Rastafari, from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him for everything that is good, King of kings and Lord of lords. Praise Him for great man, self-control, great Father, Son, Holy One. Rastafari.
Yeah, what a way to wrap it up. Yeah. Rastafari. Yeah, this is the type of song that sings one's ahead of them time. Yeah. That was them. Yes, word. I and I will wrap it up on this one. Until such time. Until such time. Until such time. Let it be one perfect love. Black love. One aim. One job. One destiny. That's what the man said, that the power I your fiber until such time as far I live.